So why and how would you self-report? And by self-report, I'm talking about remember what we mentioned earlier, the self-reporting of trade lines or trade references that maybe aren't being reported over on your business credit profiles. Because sometimes you'll make a payment, you'll make 2 payments, and you'll say, man, this sucks. Nothing's reporting. I followed everything to the Q or everything to the T. Nothing's reporting over on my side, right? Now, this is directly from Experian business, where they have 500,000 suppliers extending credits, but only about 10,000 of them are actually reporting it. That's directly from Experian business. Now, with self-reporting, I want to be very clear with this. You can only self-report your trade references, not with Experian, not with Equifax. You can only do it with Dun & Bradstreet. So if you're wondering, why would I want to have a trade reference? What is a trade reference versus a trade experience? Here's the difference. Again, nice screenshot moment. Trade reference is a business that gives commercial payment information to Dun & Bradstreet. A payment experience or trade experience is a record of the payment Dun & Bradstreet receives from the trade reference. Trade experiences can carry more weight. Since they report directly from the credit issuer. I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to have a little bit more English on that. So let me break that down a little bit more, even more so, right? Trade experiences means I purchased something, let's say $100 worth of computer paper and ink with Uline. Uline then saw that I paid my net 30 within 25 days. So that means that I was right on time with 5 days to spare. They then said, okay, cool. Irvin Friends LLC made that payment on time. Let's report that on-time payment over to Dun & Bradstreet. Congratulations. I've just received a trade experience. That trade experience or that payment experience or trade experience is now going to count as like a little bar to help cushion up my my credit report a little bit more, which means I'm now starting to build up on-time payment history because it came directly from the vendor in this case. However, if I am going with trade references, that means that me self-reporting or the company that's, let's say, reporting, they're just saying that, yes, they've been here. Yes, they bought with us, but there's no actual transaction record being filed through the database. I hope that we caught that because I see so many people buying trade references for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and it is not having the same impact than it would if you had your own trade experiences. I'm going to call out one of the biggest companies that does this.
Do it.
And I
call them all out, bro. Call them out.
I can call them out because I make my own money. So I don't take affiliates. I don't take sponsorships anywhere on my podcast, anywhere on my platform. I make my own money off of everything that I do. And so they're constantly reaching out to work with me, right? Again, use them for what they are, use them for what they do. Do not let them sell you these trade references. I'm referring to Dun & Bradstreet. Yes, I'm calling out the big boys. Dun & Bradstreet will pretty much have you on these sales calls wanting you to pay thousands of dollars for trade references that's almost subscription style, that the minute that you stop paying for it, they rip them off like a Band-Aid. And now it plummets your Dun & Bradstreet score, and now you're left wondering what the heck is going on. And it's because of that. You don't have real trade experiences. That's not an actual trade line. That's a trade reference. It's a big difference. Now, again, is there a time and a place for trade references? Yes. So if you are, let's say you've been making payments on time to, let's say, a smaller mom and pop shop, and they're just not at the level that they're reporting over to Dun & Bradstreet or over to Experian or over to Equifax, right? Again, you can't do it with Experian and Equifax, but you can do it with Dun & Bradstreet. This is the information that you're going to want to have. I promise you, Rad, no one's ever broken this down the way that this is broken down here, bro.
Let's go, bro.
These are trade references right here that you can add. Again, is it as good as a trade experience? No, because it's not coming directly from the company of the actual invoice being cleared. But this is going to be kind of like in work where, hey, there's a reference. So Rad is looking for a job as an example. So he puts me on the application. He has me as a reference. Hey, I went to school with this guy. We did some charity work together. I'm a reference for him but that reference can only go so far versus the previous employer that actually recommends him. That's the switch. And that's the correlation that I want you guys to get. That's why a reference is still good, but a payment experience is above it. But at worst case scenario, you still want your references because you still want to get some type of credit reporting on there, even though it's not going to move the needle as much. Current
Or
amount
another way to look at it,
Yeah.
is on your W-2, you have to list the W-2 jobs that you had, right? So
Yes.
it's like that's your actual trade line. And just another example would be your reference would be people that you worked with as well. So just like what he said, as far as reference from a job employer versus him, like it's even broken down even more so in the sense of your trade line is actually what's legally there, right? Your reference is what is, boom, it's a side. They're both important, they're both necessary, but there's a massive distinction. You're going to keep going over this slide, but can you also, when you're done with the slide, touch on people that are selling, you know, auto trade lines for their businesses and mortgage trade lines for your business? Is this thing a fluff? Is it real? Is it a fraud? If you could speak on that too, you might even have a slide in this deck, but I'm sure people in Facebook communities, because they get hustled in these things, right? People are trying to sell trade lines or trade references to them to build out their business credit. Is this real? Is this fake? If you could speak on that after this, that'd be super helpful. I'm sure for people.
Yeah, no, I got you. So with this right here, trade references, the information you want to have. And by the way, let me give you a real life scenario. Again, let's say you go to mom and pop shop you've been buying from some time. They're a legit company, but again, they're maybe just not savvy with actually getting it reported. You can have this and submit it yourself directly with Dun & Bradstreet, right? Just make sure that the information matches whatever they have over on their side with the mom and pop shop. But current amount owed. So if you have like a total of like a recurring balance, maybe $1,000, $2,500, whatever that amount is, the manner of the payment, this is going to be ACH, credit, cash. Rolling 12-month high credit. This is the highest amount of credit that you've used over the last 12 months. Reporting dates or as of dates, kind of like the same thing, right? There's the reporting date, the date that, let's say if I were to make the payment on the 30th, then it technically reports, let's say on the 12th, similar to how it would over on the personal credit side. And if you have no idea like how to figure this out, just pull up the invoice, or I usually recommend just stop into the shop, the mom and pop shop where you're at shopping at, and then just ask them to pull that up for you if you're not keeping record of it, which is important that you should. Current total past due, selling terms, and then date of last sale. Now, when it comes to purchasing trade lines, and I kind of group this up into whether it's auto trade lines, mortgage trade lines, and I see them, right? They're like 3, 4, 5, 6 grand, and then they report 50K, 100K, 125, 200K trade line over on your business credit report. I'm very watchful of that because a lot of these databases are getting privy to it, where they're seeing that that's not, how do I say this? Remember what we mentioned earlier about all these, they all have a common thread about all these credit bureaus. And the common thread there is that you are being kind of scored and judged, or your business, based off of how much credit is being lended out to. And so if there's a huge discrepancy of how come there's a $250,000 line on here and there's nothing else supporting it. And so typically we would, and I say we, I'm talking about the Business Credit Bureau, typically we would have a credit recommendation of 5K, 10K. So how is there a 250K? How is there a $350K $1,000 line reporting on there? And so I'm going to group this up, Rad, into the bunch of whenever people buy shelf corps, right? Okay. I think that it's such a gray area, and because it's such a gray area, I think that there is a right way of doing it, but I've seen more wrong, which is why I usually steer away from it.
Okay.
On buying the trade lines. I've personally never dealt with the client that had it done the right way. So, I mean, that should say a lot. I've never dealt with a client that had it done the right way. Maybe I've been coming across a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're doing, right? Maybe I'm the idiot that doesn't know what he's talking about right now because I put myself in that group. But based off of everything that I've gathered, I've never seen that shortcut work out for someone in the long term.
Wow, that's good, bro. Thanks for dropping that.
I've never seen that shortcut work out for someone in the long term. And so updating and cleaning your business credit info. I'm going to give you guys a framework. Let me know in the chats if you guys are ready for it. Updating and cleaning business credit info framework. Let me give it to you guys. So This is something that you can use for pretty much every major business credit bureau that we've been speaking about today. And I'll put context around it: Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet, right? So the way that this is going to work is you are going to shoot off an email with information that you are looking to update. Now, yes, can you go right into the Dun & Bradstreet database or get on a call with an account manager, get it updated? 100%. Can you wait for a account to report and have that information kind of flush through over into the system with Experian and Equifax? 100%. But I always like to have a 2 and sometimes a 3-prong approach where if I don't have access to the account online, can I call in? If I can't call in, can I send an email? If I can't send an email, can I knock the door? If I can't knock the door, can I send the pigeon carrier over their way, right? So with this right here, this would be the exact framework that I would use if you're looking to update that information. So subject line would read, please update my company information for, and then include your business name. Like I'm giving it to you guys right here. I'm giving it to you right here. Email in the body. This is where you write. I know it says wrote, it's a typo. This is where you write a simple paragraph on what you're looking to change or update, which I'm going to give you the exact framework. I'm laying it out right now on the items that you want to include. Try to include as much information about your business as possible. This will show the validation that you are the actual business owner, because no one knows more about your business than you do. Here you go.
Wow.
Business name, EIN, DUNS number, your BIN, your owner's name or owner name. You have your, and by the way, your BIN is gonna range. Like sometimes you'll get it over an Experian, sometimes you'll get it over an Equifax. Right on the report, it'll say your BIN right on there, right? Don't confuse that with EIN. That's different. Business address, and if you don't have it, not a killer, but it does help. Company email, business formation dates, business structure, meaning obviously you know who's on it. If you can include your articles of organization, articles of incorporation, like the whole shebang on there, include it. Your state, so where the business is established, NAICS code, NAICS subcode, if applicable. Sometimes you'll also see that listed on the business credit reports. Number of employees, annual business revenue. Rad, I hope that they now see why keeping track of your information is so important and why data is the new oil, bro.
Yeah, document everything, guys, so that way you can keep up, because you're getting older, you're not getting younger. So document everything, screenshot every time you apply for something, put it in a folder. It's personal applications, business applications, so that way when you reapply, you can make sure that these data points, either even if things change, they change, but at least know what you're putting on these applications, because as you can see, these companies are sharing your information without you knowing about it. And especially on the business side, they don't need your permission to do so. They're going to literally just make a ton of money off of your data. And it's what you don't know that will hold you back from the high approval. So please, please,
Yes.
please document everything that you're putting out there on behalf of your business, and know your circle and know who's on these credit apps with you, because their information can also directly and indirectly affect you.
100%. And so we got them on the side, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian, LexisNexis, right? Now, creating your own trade lines and comparable credit. I have some thoughts on this, and I want Rad, because I know he has some data points that he probably wants to share on this, but I'll give you guys my thoughts. Having a bank loan is, and when I say bank loan, secured or unsecured, is one of the most powerful ways that you can build out your business credit profile, because you build out that comparable credit. Comparable credit means if I have a $5,000 business credit card reporting on my business profile, other banks see that and they say, okay, if they're giving 5K, we can give somewhere in the range of 3 to 7, as an example. If they see, hey, there's a 10K business loan, business line of credit on there, cool. They trust them with that. Let's shoot them an offer. You meaning your business. Let's shoot them an offer to match that, maybe a little bit above that at a better rate, right? The reason why this is important is because it's going to accelerate the time of when you can start getting some big boy and some big girl funding versus just having a bunch of credit cards. And there's a time and a place for business credit cards. I usually call them like the Swiss, like the Army Swiss knife, where you can kind of use it for everything. But there's certain things that you're going to want to get business loan or business line of credit for. I like business lines of credit because they're like the workhorse of business capital and working capital. I can start extracting money out of there. And I'm going to say this with love. I'm not the biggest MS guy. Rarely have I ever taught on manufacturer spending. Is there a time and a place for manufacturer spending? Yes. But in my opinion, and again, I'm not looking to put anyone down on this. In my opinion, sometimes you get to a point where you just don't want to manufacture spend. If I'm just being brutally honest with you, you get to the point where
I'm
you're
too busy. I'm too busy for it. I have no time to even go to the store.
You get to the point where you're managing staff, you're managing product, you're watching fulfillment, you're watching social media, or you're creating content for social media. You're out here piecing content together. You're out there serving your network. There's just not enough time in the day where I would want to go out and manufacture spend. Can you do that at one point or another? Especially if you have more time, 100%. I'm not gonna tell you how to run your life or your business, but eventually, and again, I say this humbly, we want to graduate from that. We want to get access to a business line of credit where we can then use the funds from the business line of credit without having to do the hustle and bustle where the money's in our account. We don't have to wait, for a refund. We don't have to wait for the cycle to hit. It's just there. And then I can start pumping it back into a project. And for those of us that say, yeah, but there's interest on it. Dude, Rad's 65K, I think at a prime rate of 3.2 in this market. Like, let that sit for a second in this market, right? And so now he has that available in his account as good as cash. So if you wanted to pump into a real estate deal, if you wanted to pump back into marketing, if you wanted to pump back into actual staff that he can physically pay out payroll cash, because you can't always use your credit card to cover payroll. Like some apps don't allow you to do it. Like Gusto doesn't let you do it. If you're doing payroll, you need physical cash or actual account that's connected. You can do that with a line of credit.